Hey everybody, this is Tracy here for another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here to recap the Quad Season 1, Episode 8, and there is only one more episode. Next week is the season finale. So this episode was titled The Caged Bird. So Diamond is in the ER, staring up at his daddy, about to stroke out as he is replaying memories of his dad, yelling and screaming at him when he was a child. So Ella Grace has finally resurfaced and she is teaching a class and the students are sharing text messages. And I'm just happy to see actual scenes of the kids in the classroom, because I think I mentioned a couple of episodes ago that Pastor Jamal Bryant had did a Periscope where he was talking about, I think it was when the presidents of the HBCUs, or I can't remember what the Periscope was about, but anyway, he pointed out that in the movie School Days that there were no scenes in classrooms. And I didn't realize that, and I said I was going to go back and look at the movie again to see if that was true. But anyway, so we do have a classroom scene where, they're actually being taught, and I think this is the second time since the show started. But anyway, she goes to BoJohn's roommate, who I believe his name is Junior, and, she comments to him because, she saw him with the phone out. And then she goes on to Madison, because Madison is still texting during class. And she asked Madison a question, but Madison was still able to answer the question. And then Ella Grace lets the students know that thanks to the students that were being disrespectful and on their phone during the class, that she's changing the syllabus. And they have to write a paper on the gender culture at GAMU. And that has to be no less than 10 pages. And I think it was due at the next meeting, whenever that was. Then we move on to Eva, and she is in her office texting Sydney when Crystal brings in Mr. Briggs. So, it was good to see him again, because he's another one of those characters that was like on the show and then all of a sudden we didn't see them anymore. So Mr. Briggs has put together a donor group with deep, deep, deep pockets, as he puts it. And so the donors want to look at the books first, and then Mr. Briggs wants to go out and celebrate, but Eva says that he needs to show her the money before there's any celebration. And so he's like, well, I've already proven myself, because remember he had given her the $150,000. And so she then invites him to dinner over at the president's mansion. The two begin to flirt, and I'm just thinking, like, no matter what they call Mr. Briggs, or what's his name, Corey Bell, I think his name is, his true name. But no matter what character he's playing, he's always going to be Jason from the game to me. So BoJohn and his roommate, they approach Tiesha and ask her if she wants to have a threesome. So of course Tiesha is offended and is like, what the hell is wrong with you guys? And so they let her know about the paper that they have to write for Ella Grace's class, and that they want to fool the student body that they're going to have a threesome, to see what their reaction is going to be. Like, are they going to look at Tiesha differently than they look at the guys? And then Tiesha lets them know that it's a stupid project and a stupid idea, but she agrees to go along with it when they promise to get her interviews from each of the football players for her to put up on her blog. Cedric and Bryce, they're in their room, and Bryce is looking for the remote control. And then there's a knock on the door, and when Bryce goes to open the door, some guy, gangster-looking guy, comes in and pushes past him and goes in to talk to Cedric, and it turns out that it's Chantel's brother. And I wrote that his name was Drake, but it may not have been Drake. It may have been Dre or something, or it could have been something totally different, but we're going to go with Drake. And so Bryce leaves the two of them to talk, and Drake says that he knows who killed Chantel because the streets been talking. And I'm thinking, as much as the streets talk, why is it that the police can't never solve crimes? Because the streets be giving up some information. I guess the police just don't know how to get that information. So Drake says that it was some guy named Bones, and he knew that they were at the club the night that the shooting took place, remember, in the first episode. And Cedric says that Chantal told him that she saw the shooter, but she didn't say it was this Bones guy. And so he admits that he must have followed Chantel to GAMU, But then I think it turned out that the Bones guy actually worked for the rapper. So remember the night that Chantel went missing, they were at a rap concert. So whoever this Bones guy is, he worked for that rapper. So they come up with a plan, to get the guy, and Drake gives Cedric a gun, but it's evident that Cedric really isn't about that life, but I guess, he can't punk out in front of the homie. So Drake tells Cedric, that he'll hit him up when he has everything set up, for the hit on the Bones guy. Cynthia goes to visit Diamond, and he asks her, why did she bring her father to the show? And so he tells her that he didn't perform the song that he wanted to perform for her because Clive stole it, but he was going to deal with Clive after he got out of the hospital. And so the song was supposed to be called I think he said My Sister's Blues. And then they talk about the past and how Diamond received his scholarships to go to college and left her. We done heard this story over and over. But this time we find out that the mother was also abused and that the dad was like viciously abusive. And so Diamond lets Cynthia know that, 30 years later, he can still hear their mother scream, hear her and the mother screaming when the dad used to attack them. So I'm thinking maybe he didn't physically abuse Diamond, he just abused the mother and the sister. I'm a little confused. So then back in Connecticut, I think that's where, I don't know, I need to pay attention more. But wherever Eva is from, Sydney went home to stay with her dad, Derek. And so she's laying up on the sofa, obviously lonely and bored with nothing to do. And she's texting her mom and Madison. So back at GAMU, Bryce is hosting a meeting for interns who want to work with the Innocence Project. And he has a lawyer there who's from the organization who is going to, I guess, interview the kids or let them know what what the requirements are to be an intern. And then Tiesha approaches BoJohn and Junior, and they start talking, about this hookup that they're going to have with this threesome. And they're talking loud enough that everybody can hear them. And people are like, oh my God, like what are they up to? And then she kisses the both of them as she walks away. And all of a sudden, people start tweeting and sharing stuff on social media. And then I think BoJohn had to go meet with Terrence and Coach Hardwick to look at film and, talk about the upcoming game. Bryce returns to the room and, he's looking for his remote control again. And he reaches under Cedric's pillow and he finds the gun. And then Cedric comes into the room and he goes off on Bryce, for finding the gun. And Bryce lets him know that he has, whether it was his intention or not, that he has made him a part of the problem by bringing the gun into the room. Then later on, Drake returns, but Cedric is at class, or that's what Bryce said he was. And so Bryce takes it upon himself to kind of plead with Drake to leave Cedric out of this revenge plot that he's come up with, and that, Cedric has the opportunity to have a better life by going to college. But then Cedric walks up, as the two of them are talking, and then him and Drake walk off together. Then Crystal, over at Eva's office, Crystal lets her know that her 4 p.m. appointment is there. And so she also lets Eva know that she wants to sit in on the meeting, because oftentimes when Eva is having meetings, she's totally distracted and not paying attention. And then they don't get the notes that they need for the records and the files. So it turns out the meeting is Trina and another girl that have come in. And if you remember, Trina is with the organization I Didn't Consent. And so the reason they are there is because the other girl wants to let Eva know that she too had been raped by Terrence. Back at the hospital, Diamond is visited by Pettigrew and the former president of the college, GAMU. And so they're sitting around gossiping like women about Eva, and how Eva is promiscuous, and they've heard these rumors, and that they can't believe, that she got the job, blah, 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 and everything that's happened on the campus since she arrived, and they can't possibly leave her in charge. And so then Diamond starts coughing, so he has to go back to his room, and then Pettigrew and the other guy are leaving, and so the other guy's upset because he thought that Pettigrew was a shoo-in for the position, but then they turned around and did a nationwide search, and that's how they hired Eva. And I guess that Pettigrew had promised him a job at the university once he got into the position, But because Eva got into it, the guy doesn't have a job, and he says that nobody has even contacted him about being a professor, let alone anything else. So then Diamond learns that he is a candidate for some test study on a new treatment for the type of cancer that he has. But the guy, the doctor is telling him that there's no guarantees that what type of medicine he's going to get, what type of treatment it's going to be, or if it will even work with him. So then Diamond says that he doesn't want to participate. So later, Cynthia is there, and Diamond is being very grumpy and angry, and he's in a bad mood, and he's yelling at the patient care technician. Her name was Betty, I think it was, and she had been really nice to him, but I guess, he's all in his feelings about the treatment, that, he's just being mean and nasty to everybody. So he lets Cynthia know that the reason he was angry with Betty is because he's on this new medicine. So I guess he did decide to go ahead and be a part of the test study, but he's not allowed to have seafood. And then I can't remember who brought the seafood in the room, because I thought Cynthia was the one that brought the seafood in there. But anyway, he finally reveals to her that he has lung cancer. And so she understands now why he had been trying so hard to get in touch with her. And then the two of them, they start talking about their childhood and everything that they went through, and the scene kind of goes away where he's eating whatever it is that was in that box, and she's laughing with him and everything. So I'm glad the two of them made up, and hopefully Diamond won't die off over the next season finale, that he'll come back next season. Eva returns home to let Sydney know that another girl has come forward to say that she had been raped. So Sydney was laying on the sofa, so Eva came in and she's like standing over Sydney, and Sydney's telling her, to sit down, but Eva keeps talking, and then as Sydney is looking up, she starts having visions of when Terrence was raping her and he was standing over her. So she's like yelling at Eva. And I'm just thinking, Sydney is so damn disrespectful. And I'm surprised Eva has not knocked the hell out of her. Like, I don't care if she is going through this hard time. She was mean and nasty to her mother before the alleged rape. So that is no excuse for why she continues to be mean and nasty towards her. So then she gets angry because Eva won't reveal the name of the girl who says that she was raped by Terrence. So then Sydney says that when Eva goes back to GAMU, that she's going with her, and she's going to find out who the girl is, and that together they're going to go to the police and insist that charges are filed against Terrence. So then Tiesha, BoJohn and Junior, they're in the dorm room, and she realizes that the story about them having this threesome has started trending. And so at first, it was kind of funny, and she was excited. And she's like, guys, come on, let's look at these, messages. It's trending. I can't believe it. But then the things go from like them creating these hashtags about, friends and homies and all this stuff, to they're starting to call her a hoe and saying she's a thought and trifling and all of this stuff. So then she gets upset, and because she's getting the brunt of the negativity, whereas nobody's saying anything about the guys, which was what they wanted for the project. But then I guess she didn't realize that people really believed that it was true, and now they have these negative feelings about her. So, she gets angry and she runs out of the room. And so the guys are sitting there like, well, damn, like, what do we do now? So then Junior says that it was BoJohn's fault because he was the one that was playing in the classroom and got everybody in trouble and forced to do this assignment. But then BoJohn says that it is not his fault. Terrence goes to meet with the coach, and he has a defense attorney there who is offering her services for free because she says that Terrence has to go and meet with the police and he needs to have representation with them. But of course, Terrence keeps saying that he is innocent and hasn't done anything. So the coach lets him know that the lawyer her name is Ashley, and she's actually the husband of a GAMU alumni who also played football with the school. So then the lady tells Terrence that she's there for him and that he just needs to sit down and tell her, what actually happened that night so she can be prepared when they go meet with the police. So then back in class, Ella Grace says that she is excited to hear about the Gender Attitude Project as she calls on Junior and BoJohn. So they go up to the front of the class, and of course they don't want to tell what they did, but Ella Grace is like slowly trying to pull it out of them. So they start talking about the project, but they don't exactly say what it is that they did or who was involved. And then she lets them know that she knows all about the project and it was stupid of them to do that. And that she knows about the hashtags and about the conversations and the awful things that were being said. And then she tells them that they need to go back and redo the project, and then she explains a little bit more what she needs to come back from, what they do their research on. And basically she wants them to talk about the political climate and the things that were said during the presidential campaign by, of course, Donald Trump, and then the things he said about women, and then also about how people look at the rape culture on campuses, and that she wants them to take it serious the next time and come back, with a better response. So at the president's mansion, Eva is entertaining Mr. Briggs, and he asks her about the audit, I guess that the donor is supposed to be doing, or maybe it was the audit that Derek was ordering on her. I don't know. There's an audit going on of the GAMU books by somebody. And so Eva says that she's confident that they won't find anything. And then next we move over to Cedric, and he's about to get got out there trying to get whoever got Chantel. So he's like sitting on the side of some building, and it's dark. He got on a hoodie, he got this gun, and Drake is nowhere to be found. And so the police show up, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is the last thing that he needs. And so, he's freaking out and scared because he can't, if he makes a sudden movement, it's nighttime, more than likely he's going to get shot. Then he's like, okay, but if I put the gun down, either way he thinks that he's doomed. But then eventually the police officer leaves, and then the scene goes to Bryce, and Bryce is doing push-ups or something when this breaking news story comes on the television reporting that a Chicago man was found dead in some Atlanta park, and that he was part of the security detail for a rapper. So we know that Bones has been executed. And so then it goes to Cedric, and he's walking down the street when a car pulls up, and it turns out to be Drake. And so when Drake gets out the car and comes over, Cedric is like, why did you leave me? What's going on? And then Drake lets him know that Chantel wouldn't have wanted him to be involved in this whole revenge plot. And I know that Cedric was relieved, but of course he couldn't show that to the homie. And then And then Drake offered him a ride back to campus, but he said no, that he would walk and that it wasn't that far. So I was glad he didn't get in that car either. So now I just need him to get rid of that gun and get on about his business. But of course, when he gets back to the dorm, I am sure that on next week's episode, Bryce is going to think that he actually shot the guy. So I don't know how that's going to turn out. But that was the end of the show. Another great episode. And like I say, the season finale is next week. So, and then we also get the Jason guy finally reappears. So we're going to see how that turns out as well. So let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Leave your comments below. Rate the video. Share the video. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until next time, I will chat with you guys later. Bye-bye.